Hi, it's Betty. I'm here with a card share, and this is actually a response to Roxyfur's weekly inspiration challenge, week 4. And I picked a few cards from, I think last time I picked the same card as Roxy. We get the same magazines, but this week I picked 3 different cards that I wanted to try. And so I'll show those to you. And they are out of the Cards February 2012 magazine. And the first card I want to look at is on page 23. And it is Happy Valentine's Day by Lizette Gibbons. And if it will show up here. Lizette, it's LISETTEGIBBONS.blogspot.com, and she created this really pretty Valentine's card, and I actually have the same stamp. So I took pieces of what she created. I didn't do everything. I actually spent a ton of time on this card and tried so many different laces and tried so many different things that. And mine turned out to be a little bit more simple, but so this is the card that I created. I used the Mariposa paper from DCWV. I used their matte stack, and of course I used the stamp. The stamp comes from the American Crafts one and only stamp set. I think it's from last year, actually. So it's that stamp right there. And I think she may have used, I think she used a different, like a punch on hers for the little heart, but, and then, so I used, one paper and then covered it. I used actually my Fiskars punch for this, border here. You can kind of see, I like that border. I know that MFT has a border die that you can use too, but I just have the, actual punch, and I used another die. I love this butterfly paper, and then I used another die for the lace doily. And I just have the larger size, so it fit perfectly in that. And then I used some MFT ribbon. So that was my card based on Lizette's from Cards 2012. And then the second card that I made was, I'll show you the magazine. Looks very, very different from this card, but this is by Laura Craigie, evidenceofagoodlife.blogspot.com, and that's on page 24 of Cards, the same issue. And I really liked, this is just a really simple layout. And she has really pink papers and stitching and twine, and I didn't quite go there, but I'll show you what I made. It's a lot different, but this was a card I made for my husband for Valentine's Day, so I wanted it a little bit more masculine. And I used Kaiser Craft, the Shaken Not Stirred matte stack, or the 6x12 paper pad. I have a little bit of a hoard of this stash. I have 2 6x6 pads of this because I love martinis. I'm obsessed with Mad Men. I like Art Deco, and so I think I just love this paper because of that. I seem to think I'm going to be super creative and come up with something. But anyway, that being said, if you look at the card challenge, I've got my stripes on top. I've got this border strip that actually, in this paper pad, they have some punch outs in the back, and that is one of them. It's the scallop border, along with this embellishment here, just the paper embellishment. The actual white paper is really kind of a grid paper from the collection. I don't know if that will show up on paper. And then I love this pattern on the bottom, and it's obviously got some shimmery red in the middle, but I'll show you why on the inside. But I used the Whirly Dew Valentine set from SP & Company on this, and then I popped this up and added, the punch out did not have the rhinestones. I added that to it. And I have more pictures on my blog of this too. And then on the inside, and I am going to kind of cover up, this is I gave this card already. It's past Valentine's Day. But I liked how, from the Swirly Do set, this kind of mimicked the whole pattern on the front. So that was my second card using Inspiration. Obviously two very different cards. But, you know, still a take on Laura's card there. And then my third card is a take on this Kiss Me on page 25 by Beth Hallgren. And I'll show you a close-up of that card, first of all. So my card is using the background that I used, and I did actually emboss this. I've had the same embossing gun since I was had to be 15, and it still works, and it's starting to smoke when I use it, so I need to find one. I kind of want that Ranger Heat It tool, but that's hard to find. If anybody has a good source for that, I've even looked on Amazon because I wanted to order a few other things, and it's sold by, you know, someone else, so I'm just curious. I don't want to pay a ton in shipping. I don't know where to find it locally. Archivers doesn't carry it. We don't have a ton of scrapbooking stores locally that I know of. If anybody does, let me know. But anyway, back to the card. I'm rambling. Here's the Hero Arts set, and I fell in love with this when I saw Jennifer McGuire use it, and it was one of those things in my stash that I had, dots and flowers, that I had not put to good use. So I used that instead of kind of this damask, and I embossed it in red with this Candy Cane Red Gold from Lindy's Stamp Game. And then I used this Leafy Flourish from MFT using some of that cherry on top red felt that I had. It actually it's very fine, so I don't know, it was a little bit touchy with breaking off this top flourish, but I put that in the back to kind of mimic this. I guess I never used like the rhinestone there, but anyway. And then I used the Tim Holtz large rosette die. I had a bunch of these just laying around to use up, so I finally did that. Actually used it. And then I just used the Tim Holtz Mini Hearts die cut this heart out of some shimmer paper. Whoops. Shimmer paper from Joann. So that is my third card. And I just have to tell you guys that I love watching Roxy's videos, not only for what she creates, but just to listen to her talk. Like, I mean, she has the most amazing stories, and it really gets your brain thinking about kind of where and when. And this time she had talked a little bit about going to the exhibit at the Mall of America. I live in Minneapolis, and hope to get to that, the Lady Die exhibit, where it was, you know, some of her belongings and her wedding gown is displayed. And I was about 4.5 at the time when she got married, and to this day I don't know if I can remember her actually wedding day or just seeing pictures and recaps growing up. But you know, it's a very, very memorable part of my I can still think of the Franklin Mint doll of her and her wedding gown. I mean, every magazine you pick up, because I loved all those magazines, Better Homes and Gardens and everything growing up. I'd always search through those as a child. And the other thing was just like her passing away. I completely remember where I was. August 31st of 97. All my friends had come up from college. I went to school in town. And I was studying abroad that spring in Greece, so I was living at home the fall semester. And I remember coming home after a Saturday night out, very late night out. My mom was asleep on the couch in our TV room, and I remember all the news coverage and sitting up with her for hours just listening to the news. And at that point, she had not passed away. I think she was at the hospital, and so somehow I thought she'd make it, and it was a shock she didn't. But anyway, those are my cards. That's my share. Thank you so much, Roxy, and everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.